In a quiet corner of the galaxy, far beyond the reach of human eyes, an alien reconnaissance team sat huddled around glowing holographic monitors. They had been watching Earth for centuries, silent observers fascinated by its strange and primitive inhabitants. To them, humans were like ants scurrying about their tiny planet, unaware of the vast universe that stretched above them. But tonight was different. Tonight, something extraordinary was happening on this little blue dot they called Earth. The aliens' leader, a tall creature with shimmering silver skin and piercing red eyes, leaned forward as the hologram zoomed in on Earth's atmosphere. Suddenly, without warning, the sky above the planet split open. It wasn't just clouds parting. It was as if the very fabric of space itself had torn apart. Through the rift emerged massive structures so enormous they made mountains look like pebbles. These were star destroyers, ships so colossal they could blot out entire suns. Their dark metallic surfaces glinted menacingly under the light of Earth's moon. Panic rippled through the room. The aliens exchanged alarmed glances, their glowing eyes wide with disbelief. Never before had they seen anything like this. What kind of civilization could produce such power? And why had it chosen now to reveal itself? "Retreat," barked the commander, his voice trembling with fear. "We must leave immediately." His orders echoed through the chamber as the team scrambled to power up their smaller scout ship. For the first time in millennia, terror gripped their hearts. This was not supposed to happen. Earth was supposed to remain insignificant, a backwater world lost in the cosmic void. Yet here it was, unveiling weapons of unimaginable scale. Meanwhile, back on Earth, no one noticed the celestial spectacle unfolding above them. People went about their lives, completely oblivious to the fact that humanity's destiny was being rewritten. In bustling cities, cars honked impatiently in traffic jams. Office workers sipped coffee at their desks, and children played in parks under the fading sunlight. Even astronomers gazing at the stars through telescopes failed to detect the disturbance in the heavens. But there was one person who sensed that something was amiss. Dr. Elena Carter, a young astrophysicist working late in her lab, stared intently at her computer screen. Her brow furrowed as she analyzed data streaming in from deep space. Something unusual had caught her attention: gravitational anomalies near Earth's orbit. At first, she thought it might be interference from solar flares or some glitch in the equipment, but as she dug deeper, her heart began to race. The numbers didn't add up. There was no natural explanation for what she was seeing. Elena leaned back in her chair, rubbing her temples. She had always been passionate about the mysteries of the universe, ever since she was a child staring up at the night sky from her backyard. Now at 32 years old, she was one of NASA's brightest minds, tasked with studying phenomena that defied conventional understanding. Yet nothing in her training prepared her for what she was witnessing tonight. Whatever was causing these anomalies, it was bigger than anything humanity had encountered before. She decided to check the live satellite feeds. Pulling up multiple screens, she scanned images of Earth's atmosphere. At first glance, everything seemed normal. Clouds drifted lazily across continents, oceans sparkled under the sun's reflection, and city lights twinkled like constellations. But then she saw it. A faint shimmer, almost imperceptible, cutting through the upper layers of the atmosphere. Zooming in closer, her breath hitched. The shimmer wasn't random. It was a crack, a jagged line splitting the sky apart. Beyond it, she could make out the silhouette of something enormous looming in the darkness of space. Elena's hands trembled as she reached for her phone. She needed to alert someone. Anyone. Her mind raced with questions. Was this some kind of secret military experiment gone wrong? Or was it something else entirely? Before she could dial, her phone buzzed with an incoming call. It was NASA headquarters. They wanted her to come in immediately. Apparently, other scientists had picked up on the same anomalies, and emergency meetings were already underway. As Elena grabbed her coat and rushed out of the lab, she couldn't shake the feeling that this discovery would change everything. Little did she know, her life and the fate of the entire world was about to take a turn no one could have predicted. On her way to NASA, Elena passed by Times Square, where giant digital billboards flashed advertisements and news headlines. Normally, she wouldn't pay much attention to them, but tonight something caught her eye. One of the screens displayed footage of the sky above Central Park. A crowd had gathered, pointing upward in awe. The camera panned to show what looked like a massive shadow moving across the stars. People gasped and whispered among themselves, unsure whether to feel excited or terrified. Elena stopped in her tracks, her heart pounding. She realized then that whatever was happening wasn't confined to scientific circles. It was affecting everyone. Humanity was standing on the brink of something monumental, though no one fully understood what it meant yet. As she continued toward NASA, her thoughts swirled with possibilities. Were these ships friendly, hostile, or were they simply passing through, indifferent to the chaos they left in their wake? By the time she arrived at NASA, the building was buzzing with activity. Scientists, engineers, and government officials bustled about, exchanging theories and debating next steps. Elena joined a group of colleagues huddled around a large monitor displaying real-time images of the star destroyers. Everyone spoke over one another, their voices rising in urgency. "We need to send a message," said one scientist. "Let them know we're peaceful." "And say what?" countered another. "Hi, we're humans. Please don't annihilate us." Elena stayed silent, absorbing the conversation. Despite the tension in the room, she felt a strange sense of calm wash over her. This was her moment, the reason she had dedicated her life to studying the cosmos. If anyone could decipher the intentions of these mysterious visitors, it was her. But as she stared at the screen, showing the imposing silhouette of a star destroyer, she couldn't help but wonder, what secrets lay hidden within those ships? And more importantly, how would humanity respond when faced with beings far more advanced than themselves? Little did Elena know the answers to those questions would soon become clear, in ways both terrifying and awe-inspiring. The next morning, the world woke up to chaos. News channels broadcasted live footage of the star destroyers hovering silently in the skies above Earth. The sheer size of these ships was overwhelming. They dwarfed skyscrapers and cast long shadows over cities. Social media exploded with videos, photos, and wild theories about their origins. Some people thought it was an alien invasion, others believed it was a government conspiracy, or even a sign of the apocalypse. Streets were filled with crowds staring upward, pointing phones at the sky, while military jets scrambled into the air, circling the massive vessels cautiously. Despite the panic below, the star destroyers made no hostile moves. They simply floated, there silent and unwavering, as if observing humanity like insects under a microscope. Governments around the globe held emergency meetings trying to figure out what to do next. Should they attack, negotiate, or just wait and see? No one had answers. The uncertainty only fueled fear among the public. Dr. Elena Carter arrived at NASA headquarters early that day, her mind buzzing with questions. She hadn't slept all night, too consumed by thoughts of the mysterious ships and what they meant for humanity's future. As she entered the building, she found herself surrounded by frantic activity. Scientists debated theories, engineers worked on communication protocols, and officials argued over strategies. Everyone seemed to be talking at once, yet no one had any real solutions. Elena tried to focus on her own work. She reviewed data from satellites and telescopes, searching for patterns or clues that might explain why these ships had appeared now. But every piece of information led to more questions than answers. Then, suddenly, something extraordinary happened, an event that would change everything. A bright beam of light descended from one of the star destroyers, piercing through the clouds and touching down in Central Park. People screamed and scattered as the ground trembled beneath the impact. When the dust settled, a towering figure emerged from the light, a humanoid alien clad in shimmering armor. Its presence was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. Standing nearly 12 feet tall, the being radiated power and authority. Its glowing eyes scanned the crowd before landing on a group of reporters who had gathered nearby. "I am Commander Veyron," the alien announced, its voice resonating like thunder. "We are the Sentinels, guardians of the cosmos." The announcement sent shockwaves across the globe. Reporters bombarded the Sentinel with questions, but Veyron raised a hand, silencing them instantly. Listen carefully, it continued. Your planet has triggered ancient defense protocols buried within your solar system. Humanity's rapid technological advancement has awakened these mechanisms, prompting our arrival. We are here to ensure compliance with cosmic laws designed to prevent civilizations from becoming too powerful. The words hung heavy in the air. Compliance? Cosmic laws? What did it all mean? Elena watched the broadcast from NASA, her heart racing. This wasn't just an alien visit, it was a declaration of control. The Sentinels weren't here to explore or establish friendly relations. They were enforcers, tasked with keeping civilizations in check. And judging by their tone, they weren't interested in negotiation. NASA officials quickly organized a meeting with Veyron, inviting top scientists and government representatives to attend. Elena was summoned to join the delegation. Despite her initial hesitation, she wasn't used to high-stakes diplomacy, but her expertise in astrophysics made her invaluable. After all, if anyone could understand the Sentinels' motives or challenge them, it was her. When Elena arrived at the designated location, a large conference hall set up near Central Park, she felt a mix of excitement and dread. The room buzzed with nervous energy as delegates whispered among themselves. At the center of it all stood Commander Veyron, flanked by two smaller Sentinel guards. Their metallic armor gleamed under the harsh fluorescent lights, and their glowing eyes seemed to pierce through everyone in the room. As the meeting began, Veyron wasted no time getting to the point. Humanity stands at a crossroads, it declared. Your species has shown remarkable progress in recent decades, but unchecked growth often leads to destruction, not only for yourselves but for others. Our mission is to guide you, ensuring you develop responsibly. One of the government officials stepped forward, his face red with frustration. Guide us? You think showing up unannounced with weapons capable of wiping us out is guiding us? Veyron tilted its head slightly, as though amused by the question. We do not seek conflict, it replied calmly. But we cannot ignore the risks posed by your actions. Your nuclear arsenals, environmental destruction, and reckless pursuit of technology threaten not only your survival, but the stability of this region of space. The room fell silent. No one dared to argue further. Even Elena, who prided herself on her logical thinking, struggled to process what she was hearing. Were the Sentinels truly concerned about humanity's well-being, or were they using fear to justify their dominance? After the meeting ended, Elena lingered behind, unable to shake off the feeling that there was more to this story. While the other delegates filed out, murmuring anxiously about what to do next, she approached Veyron cautiously. Commander, she began, her voice steady despite the knot in her stomach. You mentioned ancient defense protocols. Can you tell me more about them? How did we trigger them? Veyron studied her for a moment, its glowing eyes narrowing slightly. You are curious, it said finally. That is good. Perhaps curiosity will save your species where arrogance fails. Elena bristled at the comment but kept her composure. I'm just trying to understand, she said firmly. If we're going to comply with your rules, shouldn't we know why they exist in the first place? To her surprise, Veyron nodded, slowly. Very well, it said. Follow me. With that, the Sentinel turned and gestured for her to accompany it outside. Confused but intrigued, Elena followed, ignoring the protests of her colleagues. Outside, Veyron led her to a secluded area away from prying eyes. There, it activated a holographic display, projecting images of Earth's history onto the air between them. Elena gasped as she recognized familiar landmarks, but they looked different, ancient and untouched by modern civilization. The holograms showed scenes of advanced structures built thousands of years ago, long before recorded history. These structures bore striking similarities to the star destroyers hovering above Earth today. These are remnants of a forgotten era, Veyron explained. Long before your ancestors walked upright, another civilization thrived on this planet. They reached heights of knowledge and power unmatched by any species since. But their hubris led to their downfall. Their experiments destabilized the fabric of reality itself, threatening countless worlds. To prevent such disasters, the Sentinels were created to monitor, protect, and intervene when necessary. Elena stared at the holograms, her mind reeling. Could it be true? Had humanity unknowingly inherited the legacy of a lost civilization? If so, what did that mean for their future? Before she could ask more questions, Veyron deactivated the display and turned to face her. "You must decide, Dr. Carter," it said gravely. "Will humanity embrace responsibility and learn from the mistakes of the past? Or will you repeat them?" With those final words, Veyron returned to its ship, leaving Elena alone with her thoughts. As she walked back to NASA headquarters, she couldn't help but feel the weight of the decision ahead. The Sentinels had given humanity a choice, but was it really a choice at all? Comply or face annihilation? Either way, the stakes had never been higher. That night, Elena sat in her lab, staring at the data spread across her computer screens. Her mind raced with possibilities. There had to be a way to bridge the gap between humanity and the Sentinels, to prove that Earth deserved a chance to chart its own course. But how? And could she convince others to join her cause? Little did she know. The answers lay hidden not in the stars above, but deep within Earth's own secrets. Secrets waiting to be uncovered in the days to come. Dr. Elena Carter spent the next few days buried in research, determined to uncover the truth behind the Sentinels' claims. Her mind kept returning to the holograms Veyron had shown her, the ancient structures that hinted at a forgotten civilization, far more advanced than anything humanity had ever achieved. If these ruins were real, they could hold the key to understanding Earth's connection to the Sentinels and why they had chosen now to intervene. Her first step was to revisit old archaeological records. She scoured libraries, journals, and digital archives, searching for any mention of mysterious artifacts or unexplained structures. It wasn't long before she stumbled upon something intriguing, a series of hieroglyphics found deep within an Egyptian tomb. The carvings depicted starships, eerily similar to the ones currently dominating Earth's skies. At first glance, they appeared to be crude drawings, but upon closer inspection, the level of detail suggested the artist had seen such vessels firsthand. Eager to investigate further, Elena reached out to Dr. Ahmed Hassan, a renowned archaeologist, specializing in ancient civilizations. Dr. Hassan agreed to meet her at the site where the hieroglyphics had been discovered, a remote desert location near Luxor. Together, they descended into the labyrinthine tunnels beneath the sands, their flashlights cutting through the darkness as they explored chambers untouched for millennia. As they examined the walls, Elena noticed patterns etched into the stone, geometric, designs that matched descriptions of cosmic phenomena she had studied in her astrophysics work. "These aren't just random symbols," she murmured, tracing her fingers over the carvings. "They're maps, charts of celestial bodies." Dr. Hassan nodded, his eyes gleaming with excitement. "We've always suspected the ancients had knowledge beyond their time. But this—" He paused, shaking his head in disbelief. "This changes everything." The deeper they ventured, the more evidence they uncovered. In one chamber, they found what appeared to be a control panel embedded in the wall. Though covered in dust and partially corroded, its metallic surface glinted faintly under their lights. Elena pressed a button experimentally, and to their astonishment, the panel hummed to life. A soft glow illuminated the room, revealing intricate machinery hidden behind the stone facade. "This is impossible," Dr. Hassan whispered, his voice trembling. "How could a civilization thousands of years ago possess technology like this?" Elena didn't answer. Her mind raced with possibilities. Could these ruins belong to the same civilization the Sentinels had referenced? And if so, what happened to them? More importantly, how did their legacy tie into humanity's current predicament? Back at NASA headquarters, Elena shared her findings with a small team of trusted colleagues. They pored over images and data from the excavation, piecing together fragments of a story that spanned millennia. Slowly, a picture began to emerge, one of a once great civilization that had risen to unimaginable heights, only to fall victim to its own hubris. The Sentinels must have intervened then, just as they were doing now, to prevent catastrophe on a cosmic scale. But there was something else bothering Elena. Why had the Sentinels waited until now to reveal themselves? Humanity had been advancing technologically for centuries. Why trigger their protocols at this specific moment? Was it merely coincidence, or was there another force at play? Her suspicions grew stronger when she received a cryptic message late one night. It came via an anonymous email account, containing only a single line. "Do not trust the Sentinels entirely." Attached was a set of coordinates pointing to a remote island in the Pacific Ocean. Intrigued, and slightly alarmed, Elena decided to investigate. With the help of her colleague, Dr. Marcus Lee, she chartered a small plane to the island. From above, it looked deserted, its dense jungle canopy hiding whatever secrets lay beneath. As they landed on a makeshift airstrip, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. Still, she pressed on, driven by curiosity and a growing sense of urgency. The journey into the jungle was grueling. Thick vines tangled around their legs, mosquitoes buzzed incessantly, and the oppressive heat sapped their energy. But after hours of trekking, they finally reached a clearing where a massive metal door stood embedded in the side of a hill. It looked ancient, yet strangely modern, its surface covered in the same geometric patterns they'd seen in Egypt. Using tools brought along for the expedition, they managed to pry the door open, revealing a dark passageway leading underground. Inside, they found remnants of advanced technology, machines powered by unknown energy sources, consoles displaying alien scripts, and even holographic projections showing scenes of battles fought between humans and towering figures resembling the Sentinels. "This isn't just a warning," Marcus said softly, his voice echoing in the cavernous space. "It's proof that the Sentinels aren't here to protect us. They're here to control us." Elena nodded grimly. Everything pointed to a darker side of the Sentinels' mission. While they claimed to safeguard the cosmos, their methods seemed less about guidance and more about enforcement. The ruins suggested that humanity's ancestors hadn't gone quietly into submission. They had resisted, fought back, and ultimately perished because of it. As they documented their discoveries, Elena realized the implications went far beyond academic curiosity. If humanity wanted to survive this encounter, they needed to understand the full scope of the Sentinels' intentions. Were they truly guardians of peace, or were they enforcers of tyranny? And if the latter, was resistance worth the risk? There. Exploration was cut short when alarms blared throughout the facility. Red lights flashed and automated voices echoed warnings in a language neither of them recognized. Panicking, Elena and Marcus grabbed their equipment and sprinted toward the exit. Just as they emerged into the jungle, the ground shook violently, and a section of the hill collapsed, burying the entrance behind them. Breathing heavily, they stared at the destruction, realizing they had narrowly escaped disaster. But their relief was short-lived. Moments later, a Sentinel drone descended from the sky, hovering silently above them. Its glowing eyes scanned the area before focusing on Elena. "You should not be here," it intoned, its mechanical voice devoid of emotion. Elena stepped forward, clutching her notes tightly. "Why are you hiding this from us?" she demanded, her voice steady despite the fear coursing through her veins. "What aren't you telling us about our past?" The drone hesitated as if processing her words. Then, without warning, it fired a beam of light at her feet, forcing her and Marcus to retreat. As quickly as it had appeared, the drone ascended, back into the sky, leaving them alone amidst the chaos. Back at NASA, Elena shared her findings with a select group of allies. Together, they pieced together a plan to expose the Sentinels' true motives to the world. But they knew it wouldn't be easy. The Sentinels had already demonstrated their ability to monitor and suppress information. Any misstep could cost them dearly. Despite the risks, Elena felt a flicker of hope. Humanity had faced challenges before and overcome them. With courage, ingenuity, and unity, perhaps they could do so again. The stakes were higher than ever, but Elena was determined to fight for a future where humanity charted its own destiny, free from the shadow of cosmic overlords. Little did she know, the battle was far from over. The Sentinels weren't the only players in this game. Hidden forces within humanity itself sought to exploit the situation for personal gain, threatening to undermine everything Elena and her team had worked for. Betrayal loomed on the horizon, testing her resolve, and the fate of the world hung precariously in the balance. The days following Elena's discovery on the remote island were a whirlwind of activity. Back at NASA, she and her team worked tirelessly to analyze the data they had collected from the underground facility. The evidence was undeniable. Humanity's ancestors had once clashed with the Sentinels, resisting their control until their civilization crumbled under the weight of cosmic enforcement. This revelation painted the Sentinels not as benevolent protectors, but as enforcers who prioritized order over freedom, even at the cost of entire species. Elena knew that exposing the truth could shift the balance of power. If humanity understood the full extent of the Sentinels' intentions, it might unite people against them, or at least demand a say in their own destiny. But before she could act, cracks began to form within her own ranks. Trust, which had been the foundation of their efforts, started to erode. It all began subtly. During one of their late-night strategy sessions, Dr. Marcus Lee seemed unusually quiet. Normally outspoken and eager to contribute ideas, he now sat back, avoiding eye contact and offering only vague responses when pressed. Elena dismissed it, initially attributing his behavior to exhaustion or stress. But as the days passed, his actions grew more suspicious. He would leave meetings abruptly, take calls in private corners of the lab, and sometimes disappear for hours without explanation. Then came the breach. One morning, Elena arrived at the lab to find her computer files corrupted. Schematics, research notes, and communications logs, all meticulously compiled over weeks, were either deleted or altered beyond recognition. Panic gripped her as she realized someone had sabotaged their work. A quick scan revealed traces of unauthorized access originating from inside the building. Her blood ran cold. Someone close to her had betrayed them. Before she could confront Marcus, another blow struck. News outlets around the world began reporting leaks about the team's findings. Anonymous sources claimed that Elena and her colleagues were conspiring against the Sentinels, accusing them of spreading misinformation to incite rebellion. Public opinion turned sharply against them. Protests erupted outside NASA headquarters, with angry crowds chanting slogans like "Peace, not war," and "Trust the Sentinels." Government officials distanced themselves from the project, cutting off funding and resources. Elena felt the walls closing in. She called an emergency meeting with her core team, determined to uncover the traitor. When everyone gathered in the conference room, tension hung thick in the air. Faces were drawn, eyes darted nervously, and no one spoke. Finally, Elena broke the silence. "We've been compromised," she said, her voice steady despite the storm raging inside her. "Someone here has leaked our findings to the media and destroyed our data. I need to know who it is, and why." For a moment, there was only silence. Then Marcus stood up, his face pale but resolute. "It was me," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. Gasps rippled through the room. Elena stared at him, disbelief etched across her face. "Why?" she asked, her tone sharp with betrayal. "How could you do this?" Marcus hesitated, then sighed deeply. "Because I believe what the Sentinels are doing is right," he confessed. "Humanity isn't ready for the kind of power we're chasing. Look at our history. Wars, environmental destruction, greed. We can't handle it. The Sentinels are giving us a chance to survive, to grow responsibly. What you're trying to do, it's reckless. It'll get us all killed." Elena clenched her fists, anger bubbling beneath her calm exterior. "And who gave them the right to decide that?" she shot back. "They don't understand us. They see us as children who need babysitting. But we're capable of making our own choices, even if we make mistakes along the way." Marcus shook his head. "I'm sorry, Elena. I thought I was saving lives. Maybe someday you'll see I did the right thing." With that, he turned and walked out of the room, leaving behind stunned silence. For a long moment, no one moved or spoke. The betrayal cut deep, not just because Marcus had undermined their work, but because he represented a larger divide within humanity itself. Some saw the Sentinels as saviors, others viewed them as oppressors. And in that moment, Elena realized how fragile unity truly was. But she refused to give up. With time running out, she rallied her remaining allies. Together, they devised a bold plan to infiltrate one of the Star Destroyers using the ancient technology they had uncovered. Their goal wasn't to destroy the Sentinels outright. Such an attempt would be futile, but to disable their systems, temporarily, forcing them into negotiations. Their target was the largest Star Destroyer hovering above Central Park. Using coordinates from the island ruins, they pinpointed its central command hub, a massive chamber housing the ship's core processor. According to their calculations, disrupting the processor would create a feedback loop, temporarily disabling the Sentinel fleet while allowing humanity to broadcast their message directly to the cosmos. The mission was fraught with danger. Infiltrating a Sentinel vessel meant navigating labyrinthine corridors patrolled by advanced drones and guard units. Any misstep would mean capture, or worse. Yet Elena and her team had no other options. Failure wasn't an option either. On the night of the operation, the team gathered in a secluded warehouse near the edge of the city. Dressed in black tactical gear and armed with devices reverse-engineered from the ruins, they prepared for what lay ahead. Elena addressed them one last time, her voice filled with determination. "This isn't just about survival," she said, looking each member in the eye. "It's about proving that humanity deserves a voice in shaping its future. We may be flawed, but we're also resilient. Tonight, we show the universe what we're made of." Under the cover of darkness, they boarded a small aircraft and flew toward the Star Destroyer. As they approached, the ship loomed larger than ever, its metallic surface reflecting the moonlight like a giant mirror. Using cloaking technology adapted from the ruins, they slipped past the Sentinel defenses undetected and landed on a lower docking bay. Inside, the ship was eerily silent. Cold metal walls stretched endlessly, lit by dim blue lights that pulsed rhythmically. The air hummed with energy, vibrating through their boots as they moved cautiously forward. Every step felt like walking on thin ice, knowing that discovery meant certain death. As they neared the command hub, they encountered their first obstacle, a patrol of Sentinel drones. Quick thinking saved them. One of the team members deployed a decoy device emitting signals that mimicked human life forms. The drones swarmed toward the false target, buying the group precious seconds to slip past unnoticed. Finally, they reached the core processor, a towering structure pulsating with light and energy. Elena activated the ancient device they had, connecting it to the processor. Lines of code scrolled across the screen as the machine interfaced with the alien system. For a moment, everything seemed to go according to plan. Then alarms blared throughout the ship. Red lights flashed, and automated voices echoed warnings in multiple languages. The Sentinels had detected the intrusion. "Hurry!" Marcus shouted, though he wasn't physically present. He had hacked into the system remotely, unable to completely sever ties with his former allies. His voice crackled through their earpieces. "You've got less than 2 minutes before they lock you down!" Elena worked furiously, her fingers flying across the keyboard as sweat dripped down her brow. Just as the countdown hit 0, the device emitted a burst of energy, creating the intended feedback loop. The lights flickered and the hum of the ship's systems faltered. Success. But their victory was short-lived. As they turned to retreat, they found themselves surrounded by Sentinel guards. Their leader stepped forward, a towering figure clad in shimmering armor. It was Commander Veyron. "You have forced our hand," Veyron declared, its voice resonating with authority. "Your actions prove you cannot be trusted." Elena stepped forward, defiance burning in her eyes. "We're not asking for trust," she said firmly. "We're demanding respect. Humanity won't bow to your will any longer." To everyone's surprise, Veyron hesitated. Then slowly, it lowered its weapon. "Very well," it said. "Perhaps It is time for a new approach. What followed was unexpected. Instead of attacking, Veyron initiated a dialogue, not just with Elena and her team, but with representatives from governments, scientists, and ordinary citizens around the world. Through shared memories and emotions transmitted via the ancient technology, both sides began to understand each other's fears and aspirations. In that moment, Elena realized that humanity's greatest strength wasn't its weapons or technology. It was its ability to adapt, communicate, and forge connections even in the face of overwhelming odds. The battle wasn't over, but hope burned brighter than ever. The feedback loop created by Elena's device had a profound effect, not just on the Sentinel fleet but on the relationship between humanity and their enigmatic visitors. The Star Destroyers, once symbols of dominance and control, now floated, silently above Earth like dormant giants. Their systems were temporarily disabled, forcing the Sentinels to retreat into a state of cautious observation. For the first time since their arrival, humanity had gained the upper hand. But this victory came at a cost. The world was divided, torn between those who saw the Sentinels as saviors and others who viewed them as oppressors. Protests erupted in cities across the globe, with citizens clashing over whether to trust or resist the cosmic enforcers. Governments scrambled to maintain order while grappling with their own uncertainty about how to proceed. Amidst the chaos, Elena found herself thrust into the spotlight, hailed by some as a hero and vilified by others as a reckless agitator. Back at NASA headquarters, Elena gathered her team for a debriefing. Exhaustion lined their faces, but there was also a sense of quiet triumph. They had achieved what many thought impossible. They had forced the Sentinels to listen. But Elena knew this was only the beginning. The dialogue initiated by Veyron was fragile, built on tenuous trust that could shatter at any moment. "We've opened a door," she said, addressing her team. "Now we have to walk through it carefully. This isn't just about proving ourselves to the Sentinels. It's about deciding what kind of future we want for humanity." Her words resonated deeply. Each member of the team nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. The choices they made in the coming days would shape not only Earth's destiny, but its place in the cosmos. Yet, despite the enormity of the task ahead, Elena felt a flicker of hope. Humanity had shown resilience, ingenuity, and courage, qualities that even the Sentinels couldn't ignore. The global summit convened shortly after, bringing together leaders from every corner of the planet. It was held in New York City, beneath the shadow of the Star Destroyer still hovering ominously above Central Park. Representatives from governments, scientific communities, religious organizations, and grassroots movements filled the auditorium, each carrying their own hopes, fears, and agendas. At the center of it all stood Elena, flanked by her team, ready to present humanity's case to Commander Veyron and the Sentinels. When Veyron entered the room, the atmosphere shifted. Its towering figure commanded attention, its glowing eyes scanning the crowd with an unreadable expression. As it took its place at the podium, silence fell over the assembly. For a moment, no one spoke. Then Veyron began. "Humanity has demonstrated remarkable determination," it said, its voice echoing through the hall. "You have challenged us, questioned our motives, and sought to understand your place in the universe. Such qualities are rare among civilizations we encounter. However, your actions also confirm our concerns. Your species is unpredictable, driven by ambition and emotion rather than reason." Elena listened intently, her heart pounding. She knew this was her chance to respond, to show the Sentinels that humanity was more than its flaws. "Commander?" "Veyron," she began, stepping forward. Her voice was steady, though her hands trembled slightly. "You're right. We are unpredictable. We make mistakes, sometimes terrible ones, but we also learn from those mistakes. Our history is filled with moments of darkness, but also light. We've fought wars, yes, but we've also built bridges. We've destroyed ecosystems, but we've also worked to heal them. What sets us apart isn't perfection, it's progress." She paused, letting her words sink in before continuing. "Your mission is to enforce cosmic laws, to prevent civilizations from harming themselves or others. But enforcement without understanding leads to fear, and fear breeds conflict. If you truly wish to guide us, then give us a chance to grow. Let us chart our own course even if it means stumbling along the way, because ultimately growth comes from struggle, not submission. A murmur rippled through the audience. Some nodded in agreement, others looked skeptical. Veyron tilted its head slightly, studying Elena with an intensity that made her feel both exposed and empowered. "You speak boldly, Dr. Carter," it said finally. "And yet, boldness alone does not guarantee wisdom. How can we trust that humanity will use its freedom responsibly?" Elena hesitated, knowing the weight of her answer. Then she turned to face the crowd, gesturing toward the diverse array of people seated before her. "Because we're already learning," she replied. "Look around you. Despite our differences, we've come together to face this challenge. Scientists, politicians, artists, farmers, we're all here united by a shared desire to survive and thrive. That's what makes us human. We adapt, we evolve. And when given the opportunity, we rise to meet even the greatest challenges." Her speech earned applause, though not everyone agreed. Debates raged throughout the summit, with representatives arguing passionately for or against cooperation with the Sentinels. Some advocated complete independence, insisting humanity should reject outside interference entirely. Others believed collaboration was necessary, viewing the Sentinels as potential allies in navigating the complexities of the cosmos. As the discussions unfolded, unexpected voices emerged. Among them were rogue factions of Sentinels, individuals within their ranks who sympathized with humanity's plight. These dissenters revealed that the rigid enforcement policies of the Sentinel leadership had sparked unrest within their own society. Inspired by Earth's resilience, they argued for a more flexible approach, one that allowed civilizations to develop organically rather than being forced into compliance. Veyron listened to these arguments with growing unease. Though outwardly stoic, its demeanor betrayed hints of doubt. Finally, after days of deliberation, it addressed the assembly once more. "Perhaps there is merit in your perspective," Veyron admitted. "The Sentinels were created to preserve balance, but perhaps balance requires compromise. Humanity has proven itself capable of change. Therefore, we offer you a choice." The room fell silent as everyone leaned forward, hanging on Veyron's next words. "You may continue advancing independently, free from our oversight, but bear in mind the risks such freedom entails. Or you may join a galactic alliance dedicated to peace, cooperation, and mutual growth. This alliance provides resources, knowledge, and protection, but also demands accountability." Elena exhaled slowly, realizing the significance of the moment. Humanity had been given a choice, a rare gift in the face of overwhelming power. Now it was up to Earth's leaders to decide which path to take. After hours of intense debate, the decision was made. Earth would join the Galactic Alliance, embracing the opportunity to learn from other civilizations while retaining its autonomy. It was a delicate balance, one that required vigilance and responsibility, but it offered the best chance for humanity to flourish alongside the stars. In the weeks that followed, life on Earth began to stabilize. The star destroyers withdrew, retreating beyond the moon's orbit, but remaining close enough to monitor developments. Reconstruction efforts focused on healing divisions caused by the crisis, fostering unity through shared purpose. Elena became a symbol of hope, traveling the world to inspire others to embrace the challenges ahead. One evening, as she stood atop a hill overlooking Central Park, Elena gazed at the repaired sky. The rift had closed, leaving behind a canopy of stars brighter than ever before. She felt a mixture of relief and anticipation. Humanity had proven itself capable of standing toe-to-toe with gods and choosing unity over destruction. As she looked upward, she couldn't help but wonder what adventures lay beyond the horizon. The universe was vast, full of mysteries waiting to be unraveled. And for the first time, humanity was ready to step into the unknown, not as subjects of cosmic overlords, but as equals forging their own destiny. Little did Elena know, her journey was far from over. Somewhere in the depths of space, ancient forces stirred, awakened by the events on Earth. Forces that would test humanity's resolve in ways no one could predict. But for now, as the stars twinkled above, she allowed herself a moment of peace, knowing that whatever came next, humanity would face it together.